Welcome to episode 120, Spotlight, Denial of Service Protection, focusing on Control SC-5. Availability is often the forgotten pillar of security, yet it defines whether all other protections even matter. If legitimate users cannot access systems because of flooding or resource exhaustion, confidentiality and integrity are irrelevant. Denial of service attacks exploit volume, timing, and protocol weaknesses to overwhelm services or deplete infrastructure budgets. Defending against them means balancing cost, performance, and resilience. Availability is not guaranteed by technology alone. It is engineered through anticipation, layered defenses, and calm response under strain. Building from that premise, the first step is to identify critical service paths and establish operational thresholds. Critical paths are the routes that real users rely upon, login, payment, or data retrieval workflows, while thresholds define the maximum capacity each component can sustain before degradation. Knowing these limits allows planners to spot early saturation and allocate resources intelligently. For example, if an application can handle 10,000 requests per second before latency spikes, monitoring should alert at 8,000. Critical path mapping turns invisible fragility into measurable boundaries, giving defenders a target to protect rather than a mystery to endure. From there, upstream distributed denial of service, or DDoS, scrubbing, and contractual protections provide the first line of external defense. Partnering with internet service providers, or cloud-based scrubbing centers, allows malicious traffic to be filtered before it ever reaches organizational networks. These services absorb or deflect massive floods that would overwhelm local bandwidth. Contracts should specify guaranteed capacity, response times, and testing rights to confirm readiness. For instance, arranging quarterly scrubbing tests ensures that response paths remain functional. Offloading the heaviest traffic upstream preserves local infrastructure and buys time for downstream controls to act effectively. Connection handshakes must also be hardened and validated to prevent resource exhaustion through incomplete or deceptive setups. Many denial-of-service attacks exploit connection negotiation steps, such as half-open TCP handshakes or expensive TLS negotiations to consume server capacity. Mitigation includes using SYN cookies, offloading handshake processing to specialized devices, and enforcing minimal timeouts for incomplete connections. For instance, a web application firewall can complete handshakes on behalf of servers, discarding illegitimate requests early. Validating handshakes converts servers from easy targets into selective participants. In a storm of fake greetings, genuine conversations continue unharmed. When pressure mounts, prioritizing essential traffic ensures mission continuity. Quality of service mechanisms and request tagging allow critical functions to move to the front of the line. For example, emergency communications or payment authorization channels might receive higher bandwidth priority than analytics or background synchronization. Differentiating traffic ensures that life safety or financial operations persist even under saturation. The key is predefined policy decisions made calmly in advance, not improvised mid-crisis. Prioritization embodies resilience. When resources are scarce, they serve purpose first, convenience second. Autoscaling systems can absorb surges by expanding capacity on demand, but must include guardrails and budget controls. Scaling blindly can cause financial denial of service, where defenders bankrupt themselves countering attackers. Setting upper limits on scale, combined with anomaly detection to recognize malicious patterns, keeps elasticity from becoming exploitation. For instance, cloud functions might double instance counts under genuine load, but freeze expansion when request signatures match known attack patterns. Guarded autoscaling converts flexibility into resilience rather than vulnerability. It allows systems to bend under stress without breaking the organization that runs them. Catching static content close to consumers lightens the load on origin servers and reduces vulnerability to volumetric attacks. Content delivery networks store copies of common assets, images, scripts, or documents near users geographically. When attacks target these resources, distributed caches handle requests without burdening core infrastructure. Even internal services benefit from strategic caching layers that serve repeat queries locally. For example, catching authentication responses for short periods prevents login servers from being hammered repeatedly by identical requests.
By decentralizing delivery, caching transforms scale from liability into advantage. Attackers cannot easily flood what no longer needs to travel far. Failing closed for abusive patterns enforces discipline during incident conditions. When request signatures clearly indicate attack traffic, invalid headers, nonsensical payloads, or repeated anomalies, systems should block decisively rather than degrade gracefully. For instance, rate-limited endpoints can return immediate rejections instead of queuing excessive requests. Fail-close design preserves integrity of core operations even if some legitimate users face temporary blocks. It is better to deny briefly than to collapse entirely. Control and containment matter more than perfect continuity when systems face deliberate abuse.
Telemetry provides the visibility needed to detect saturation and exhaustion early. Real-time dashboards showing CPU usage, queue depth, request rates, and error counts help teams spot deviation from normal baselines. Integrating network telemetry with application performance data reveals whether stress originates externally or internally. For example, a surge in outbound errors coupled with stable inbound traffic may signal internal resource leaks, not attack. Effective telemetry turns noise into insight. Under pressure, knowing what is happening, quantitatively and immediately, is half the battle. The other half is acting on it with confidence and coordination. Drills reinforce readiness through synthetic load tests and controlled brownouts. Simulating high-traffic scenarios under observation reveals weaknesses before attackers do. Brownout tests, where non-essential features are deliberately disabled, validate that prioritization policies work. For example, an e-commerce site might simulate heavy seasonal demand and confirm that checkout remains responsive even as recommendations or search degrade. Practicing controlled stress teaches teams to recognize thresholds and test automated mitigations safely. Drills make response reflexive, not reactive, proving that resilience is a practiced skill, not an assumption. Incident playbooks and escalation paths provide the organized choreography for defense under fire. Playbooks detail detection signals, mitigation actions, communication flows, and recovery steps. Escalation paths define who decides when to invoke upstream help, throttle applications, or engage leadership. For instance, the playbook may specify when to activate contractual DDoS partners or when to shift traffic through alternate regions. Practicing these procedures in tabletop sessions ensures coordination when seconds count. Playbooks turn chaos into checklists and emotion into execution, allowing defense to proceed with precision even during disruption. Evidence of protection comes from tests, thresholds, and mitigation records. Logs of synthetic load drills, documentation of rate limit policies, and screenshots of capacity thresholds demonstrate compliance and operational maturity. Capturing real incident data, traffic graphs, mitigation timestamps, and resolution notes builds institutional memory for future tuning. Evidence proves not only that defenses exist, but that they perform as intended. Each artifact strengthens audit readiness and supports post-incident analysis. In availability management, proof of preparedness equals proof of control. Metrics conclude the loop by measuring how systems withstand and recover from stress. Indicators include time to detect saturation, duration of degraded performance, percentage of legitimate requests served during attack, and mean time to restore full service. Tracking these over multiple exercises shows improvement or drift. For example, reducing detection time from 15 minutes to 3 can dramatically reduce downtime. Metrics keep resilience from becoming folklore. They quantify endurance and guide investment. When numbers tell a story of decreasing disruption, the organization knows its defenses grow stronger with practice. In conclusion, Control SC-5 ensures that resilience under pressure is deliberate, not lucky. Availability is not the absence of attack, it is the presence of preparation. By combining upstream filtering, intelligent rate limits, strong telemetry, and tested playbooks, organizations preserve service continuity even when systems are under siege. Denial of service protection is less about perfect prevention and more about graceful survival. When stress arrives, calm systems and trained teams carry the day, proving that reliability is the ultimate expression of security. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.